for any of our classes. We gave language to not only our traumas, but also to our many privileges. From being able-bodied, to having parents who love us, to having teachers who assumed that we, as Asian Americans, were capable to living near and with access to so many resources that enabled our work. Of everything that happened in the next 4 years, perhaps the most impactful to our work were the mentors who always stood by our side. One mentor, Princeton University professor Ruha Benjamin, tweeted this: "Racial literacy is not about acquiring the words to have a conversation on race, which too often stays at the level of anecdote and sentiment. Racial literacy is developing a historical and sociological toolkit to understand how we got here and how it could have been / can be otherwise."
We realized that our anecdote and sentiment-driven model was not enough. Our focus had been on raising consciousness toward racial inequity, why we all need to talk about race, without giving the tools of how to break it down. We wanted to accomplish both. We began to understand that our anecdotes would require a larger historical and sociological context. So we created a model, stories paired to research, to close what we called the heart-mind gap of racial literacy. In our first TED Talk, What It Takes to Be Racially Literate, we later described the heart part of the gap as an inability to understand each of our experiences, to fiercely and unapologetically be compassionate beyond lip service, and the mind portion as an inability to understand the larger structural ways in which racism operates. We also began including fun facts with every interviewee's story. The design was inspired by our team member Mary Louise James's work, in order to further humanize people beyond race. Together, the stories and statistics that we found pulsated with truth and power. Everything we'd been told previously, like there's no racism in Princeton of all places, felt like a cover-up. The town of Princeton, with its Ivy League association and upwardly mobile citizens, had adopted a culture of silence and denial about race. What about the rest of America?
We were due to start college in fall of 2017, Winona to Harvard and Priya to Princeton, but we kept feeling like work was far from complete. In junior year, we had published, using our heart-mind model, a racial literacy textbook called The Classroom Index, funded primarily by Princeton University's Department of African American Studies. When it was covered in national media like Teen Vogue and ordered by schools in more than 40 states, we felt that we had to do better. For one, the stories we had collected came mostly from central New Jersey and New York, and we knew those voices could not represent the vast experience of Americans. We believed our idea for an effective racial literacy toolkit could impact communities near and far from Princeton, people in and out of the classroom. We knew there was much more we could do to contribute to the world, now rather than 4 years later. So we fundraised our senior year of high school to take a year off before college and to hear for ourselves the diversity of voices across the nation. Later, as TED residents in New York City, we would research and write this book.
We started off in Anchorage, Alaska in July 2017 and finished in Charlottesville, Virginia in February 2018. During our travels, we collected over 500 stories. We asked everyone, how has race, culture, or intersectionality impacted your life?
Intersectionality refers to the overlapping systems of advantages and disadvantages that affect people differently positioned in society. This means that race cannot be examined in isolation from other social classifications like class, gender, religion, and sexuality. You'll hear more about this in Chapter 3.
The responses were astonishing. These identities had so significantly shaped the lives of the people we spoke to that it often felt as if we had asked them simply, "Tell me who you are."
In a restaurant in the Mississippi Delta, Black servers told us that some of the white customers in the room had previously refused to be served by them in 2018.
We stayed with a philanthropist in Park City, Utah, who introduced us to friends affiliated with the Academy Awards.
Then lived with a young transgender man and his girlfriend in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who were struggling to put together enough money for a small wedding.
In downtown Montgomery, Alabama, we read public markers that announced the city's history of slavery,
while Confederate flags waved on the highway a mile away.
While we had previously